Okay, yep, and we're live. Uh, Welcome everyone to this live stream. Thank you for joining. This is the first live stream on our Codecast series on YouTube. To find out more about WeDeyCode, visit WeDeyCode.com. To find out, to follow us on Twitter, just look for @WeDeyCode. We're also on LinkedIn and on our website. You can actually see more information about previous things we've done and previous guests we've had on the Codecast. Today we have Adebiyi Temitope, and what he's going to do is tell us exactly how to get a remote software developer job. He has experience as a data scientist and also as an iOS mobile developer. So I'm going to pass it on to Adebiyi to give us a brief introduction about himself before we dive in today.
Okay, thank you very much. Currently, as he introduced me earlier, my name is Temitope Adebiyi. I'm currently working at ABMBev as a data scientist and part-time working as an iOS developer for different companies. As data scientist, my experience, I kind of have like 3 years experience in data scientist field, and my experience in iOS is close to about 2 years. One and a half years, close to 2 years currently. And well, that's pretty much about me for now. As we go on, I'll probably tell you more about me.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, like being able to transition and to take skills across different roles is always something amazing. Like, you know, as software developers, one benefits we have in our career is that a lot of times you can actually transition between different roles. So as you've all heard, right, Adebiyi started out with data science, then moved on to iOS. And of course, there's always going to be opportunities to use both of those skills. So now diving into remote work, our very first question is how do you actually decide if remote work is for you?
Okay, how do you decide if remote work is for you? Apparently, okay, there are different point or things you should look at. Apparently, yeah, it's actually a personal thing. So one thing, first one is, are you, in terms of self-discipline and motivation, how motivated are you? How disciplined are you? Because when you're working from home and you have the opportunity to take break at any time, and you have opportunity to sleep at any time. Yeah, that's one. The other one is, are you comfortable working alone? Do you like working with people? There are people that like working in co-working spaces. You like seeing people around, that kind of person. No, well, I won't say it wouldn't be a good fit, but then yeah, it's something you should try to look at first. Then other things you should look at is probably in terms of communication. How able are you to communicate? Because apparently you are going to be communicating through meetings, through Zoom meetings, online meetings, and probably presentations. You won't be there in person to demonstrate, or probably, you know, that body language in terms of expressing yourself. You will not have that, but then you can also show that in your meeting, apparently your Zoom meeting. What else again? Probably, are you able to maintain your health, work, and healthy work and life balance? That's something you should look at too, because apparently some people tend to work like become a workaholic. You know, you have this time at home, so you're cutting. So apparently you don't have. You'll be looking at, since you don't commit to work again, so that time you definitely spending more time working. So some people tend to become a workaholic, and they actually have issues balancing their life. Thank you.
Yeah, I think especially that last point, you know, that's something that many people may not suspect, or you know, where do you draw the line between, okay, it's 5 p.m., time to log off and move on to something else, right? And you know, sometimes the work just spills over to the night, where it spills over to the weekend, and you end up just working, and it can become, you know, sort of like a self-defeating cycle. I would say, you know, now thinking about what we've just said, right? Are there any differences between remote full-time roles and opportunities like freelancing, or are these actually similar, right? When people want to work.
Okay. They're quite similar. They're quite similar because since give you flexibility of time. So remote full time is like full time on site, what you're working from home currently. Then part time, remote part time. Okay, you won't be working full time. So the full time is like 40 hours per week. Why part time should depends on the company. We're looking at 20 hours or probably 15 hours. It just depends on the contract you have with the company. Um, then freelancing. So in my opinion, freelancing is okay. You are the probably you are the owner of, yeah, okay. So it's like the company is the client, but you are the boss of yourself apparently. So you're getting contract from the client. So freelancing, well, freelancing gives you more opportunity in terms of time management. Like you can negotiate whatever you want with the client. You can give them your time. Probably, okay, you have a job, you got a project from them. You can give them an estimated time, and with this estimated time, you can decide to work at any point. You can, so you give you opportunity to plan yourself. Apparently, unlike part-time and full-time, where you have to deliver at a particular time. So there's a time I set aside which you need to deliver currently.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So when you're working full time or part time as an employee of another company, you can do that in person or remotely. And then the difference between that and freelance, based on what you said, is that when you're freelancing, it doesn't really matter whether you're remote, whether you're full time or not. You're actually the one who's the boss of yourself, and you just have clients who you work with rather than working for someone else.
Yes, yes, yes. And well, in that freelancing apparently, so the things, so the money it won't be like a full-time job whereby okay, there's this certain amount of money that should come every month. So it's like you have, so the money that actually enters every month kind of varies, because at some point you may not have clients, at some point you may have like clients, and trying to balance everything up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So now, just to tie into what you said about the, like payments and salaries, like when it comes to salaries, if your plan is to be a remote employee, whether full-time or part-time, do you need to set up a company and work as a contractor, or how do you go about this thing, like things like this?
Okay, so it depends on the company. So there are startups that may actually be looking at probably getting their development team outside the country. So in that case, you may decide to actually be a contractor. So you get the dev team for them, and yeah, you get a dev team. So in some cases, some company may actually just be looking for a single developer, full stack developer, and you may not need to be a contractor, so you may not need to work under a certain company. So probably just apply with them directly.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So now for those companies that are outside the country, right? If they're paying you in their currency, or let's say whether you're freelancing, contracting, or you're a remote full-time employee, right? How do you then handle things like taxes, bank accounts? Do you need to open a foreign bank account? How do you go about that?
So apparently, okay, it depends. So it actually really depends too, because some company would do withholding tax for you and decide to pay the tax on behalf of you. Well, some company would pay you everything, and they would request you to pay the tax yourself and send documentation regarding the tax which you have paid. So it actually works both ways, frankly. Then
Interesting.
yeah, in terms of setting accounts, so there are different ways of setting account. You can actually set up account. You can set up a foreign account. One I know, you can set up a foreign account with Pioneer, or probably in your home country, you can have a domiciliary account. Well, here in Nigeria, there's this domiciliary account where you can pay in dollars, pounds, and you can get your money through the domiciliary account. It depends on how flexible the company is in terms of payments.
Yeah. Yeah. So that means, apart from doing remote work for companies in the same country, where there's also the benefits of doing remote work internationally, and there's no limitation because all you just need to make sure of is that you're paying your taxes, you're following all the regulation, and if you do that right, you can work for basically any company in the world.
Yes, yes, yes,
yes. So when people start interviewing, looking for these roles, let's just jump a bit to the employment offer, because I think that's what a lot of people have in mind. So, if you receive an employment offer for a remote job, right, for a company, whether in the country or abroad, right, how exactly, what are some things you should look out for, right, with respect to the things we've just mentioned up to now?
Okay, so since I look out for, well, home country, it depends though, it depends on different companies. So some things you should look out for is benefit and remuneration. So you need to look at how, you actually need to look at the pay. If they are paying you what a full-time should be getting, a full-time, so you need to look at if they are, if what you're getting is the same thing with a full-time on-site is getting, yeah, okay, that's good, because some company tends to look at, oh yeah, you're working from home, and okay, you think you should probably get a bit less. You should actually look at that. Not a red flag, but something you should actually look at and probably make sure you're comfortable with that. Then another thing is working hours. You need to look at the working hours currently. So they may maybe more than 8 hours. You may be required to work more than 8 hours because, okay, you're working from home. And yeah, you need to look at that. Then benefits. So currently working from home doesn't mean you're not a full-time staff currently. So you should be entitled to all the benefits that a full-time employee is. Yeah, a full-time employee is also required to accept.
Yeah, the whole thing about benefits is when you're working full-time, whether remote or not, you need to, most companies will give you things like, health insurance, for dental, eye vision. So if you decide to be a freelancer, right, since you're the one running your own company, right, it then means that what's happening is you have to be in charge of paying your own insurance and all those things. But if it's a remote company, people need to watch out for the offer letter, right? Is the offer letter actually for an employee or for a contractor, right? Because that would then change, just based off what you're saying, that would then change how they receive certain benefits. Yeah. So I think now, right, when it comes to now searching for the job, so we just skipped a few points. We went from discussing how to set up the bank account to actually getting the offer letter. So there are a few steps in between, right? You actually have to find the jobs, you have to set up your portfolio, you have to set yourself up, and then you need to interview, right? So what do you do? What tips do you have for job searching on job websites?
Okay, tips for job searching. Apparently, first thing I put in the filter is remote. Apparently, yeah, remote. That's my first checklist. Then I also look at the country. So so I'm talking also based on international and local remote jobs. So for international, you need to look at the time zone, the country which you would be looking for job. Yeah, you need to look at that. And also, well, it doesn't mean you cannot work with different time zone. You can work with different time zone, but so it depends on the company. They may be comfortable working with the same time zone, probably 1 or 2 hours difference or 3 hours difference. Why some, okay, they are cool with it, maybe 6 or 8 hours difference, they're cool with it. So you are able to wake up at their working time and also, yeah, if you're cool with their time zone currently. Then what else do I look out for? Okay, Then I read the job description very well. I read the job description very well because they may actually put remote there and um, tell you you may need to come on site, come to the office on once a week or once a month. It depends if you're cool with that. Sure, that's good with you. And what else again do I look for? I look out for okay. Yeah, I look out if it's a startup or actually a big company. I look at that. For me personally, well, I'm actually cool with the two of them, both startup and also big companies. Currently, cool with that. So it depends. So need to look at that.
Yeah, yeah, because the work-life balance can, actually be it will be influenced based on the size of the company usually, or at least the kind of projects that the people working on. And like if it's a startup, you have to be ready to work.
Yeah,
That's
startup. So
yeah,
there's a lot of
especially yeah, like especially if it's remote, right? Like you have to be ready, and if it's in a different time zone, so if it's just different time zone, let's say that's like 5 hours, ahead of you or behind. Your suggestion is people should really be sure that they're willing to make that commitment. Like, are you willing to wake up 5 hours earlier or to work 5 hours later to the day, right? There are all these trade-offs which is very interesting. And I can only imagine the kind of new tools that are being built just because of things like this to help people communicate better. Yeah. So,
then okay, sorry. One other thing is okay for international remote job. I also look out for if there's opportunity for that's for the developer or the employer to be relocated. That's relocation
okay.
opportunity. Well, not all companies actually offer relocation opportunity, but then it's also something I try to look out for currently.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, actually, you also mentioned that they might not all the remote jobs will be 100% remote. Like some jobs may say, oh,
Yes,
25% travel time, or you have to come to the office. So in terms of
yeah,
relocation, that means it's possible for some jobs. Maybe they might not ask you to relocate completely, since it's remote.
yeah,
They could ask you to come, maybe once a month or once every 4 months or something on site.
yeah. That's true. That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it gets to, applying, right, there are different strategies. Like on our other episodes, we've told people about different strategies for getting jobs in general. You can go through our YouTube channel, just type youtube.com/c/WeDeyCode, and you just see some of the job search tips. Something we've been told in the past is not everyone should apply from, by submitting their resumes on the career page, right? There are also recruiters, the HR managers on LinkedIn. So, how now with remote jobs, right? How do you know which recruiters or HR managers to go after, right? Now that things are moving to, the online and virtual interview. How do you find out, okay, this is the HR person I need to speak to? How do you then position your portfolio for them?
Okay. Well, apparently, one thing you can do is probably do research, like a link research for them. So you would definitely see add on. So there are different tags. There are different things to look out for. In terms of searching. So you need to look for recruiter, headhunter. So then after doing that, so you need to streamline your search. So okay, in terms of software development, project management, you would definitely see recruiters who are specialized in terms of recruiting software developers. Also, in terms of probably project management, you definitely see them. And another thing you would see is okay, probably hashtags. So you can also use hashtags to make research because apparently these recruiters and these HR managers they use hashtags when they're posting. So apparently it's just trying to look for them in their eco space. So apparently, so you need to look for an HR manager who is in tech space. You need to look for the HR manager if you're a tech person. You need to look for HR manager in terms of project management, if they're a project manager, just go to their space and look for them. And other things you would do is probably posting what you have done. Posting what you have done, your project, your personal projects, using the hashtags. Some of them would definitely see that, and they would reach out to you. Though it depends, yeah, they would reach out to you, or they will actually comment. From there, you can start a conversation with them. Yeah, that's one of the position yourself. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you recommend, people also take advantage of networking? Because now, like, there's no, you can't go to networking events, right? Getting job referrals is one of the quickest ways. So how do you now, if you want, do you recommend networking? And how would you recommend that, suggest that people do it this during the pandemic?
Okay, for me, I think networking and referral people get 80% of people, 80% of jobs are being gotten through network and referrals, above 80%, because some of the jobs I've gotten through referrals and through networking. So, okay, there are different ways to network, and also the other thing is also keeping that conversation going. So it's not like, oh, you just meet this person and that's all. You don't check back. So you need to always check on the person at some point. So, and again, there are different groups and events coming up every single time. You jump on the event, and now most of the events are now live events, and with that you can get to see people name. You can search them on LinkedIn. Enter their DM, probably just introduce yourself, ask them, tell them about yourself, tell them what you're looking for, probably, yeah, things you're interested in. With there you get information from the other person. You share knowledge and share information. And sometimes they actually be an opening, and they actually tell you probably, okay, at some point they would promise, okay, if there's an opening, they will get back to you. So everything is already, like, everything now, you can't be on site. So the opportunity now is all events are now being virtual. All events are now virtual. So with this, you get to meet people virtually, and so you just need to change your orientation apparently and start doing things virtually.
Yeah. That's I think the core idea here is people should just focus their minds on, if you want to do something remote, then figure out how to upscale or to make things easier for yourself by just focusing on virtual events, virtual connections, and the likes. So now getting into the resume, right? So we've discussed how to set up yourself, to set up your LinkedIn, connect with people, how to search for jobs. So let's say now the recruiter finally says, okay, give me your CV or your resume, right? What are some things that people need to add, or highlight, or the existing experience that they should highlight on their resumes to catch the attention of recruiters who are hiring for remote jobs?
Okay. So apparently we have the junior, probably fresh graduates, and probably junior developers, junior staff. Apparently, then we have the experience. So for fresh graduates, and apparently you must have worked on projects. In that case, you need to put your project at the top level. After. So I don't know, for me, that I actually feel your resume should be structured in a certain way too. There are different ways to structure the resume. So your name on top, boldly written, then a brief introduction about yourself. Then, okay, since, for a fresh graduate or junior developer, you'd probably need to put your project I've worked on in, to put that immediately after introduction. Yes, just highlight the achievement, what you achieved with the project. Just key points, key takeaway points, which so you don't really need to beat around the bush, putting story, just points. Apparently, I actually prefer bullet points in my resume. So when the recruiter is going through it, it picks up the point, he or she picks up the point immediately. Then what else again? So for experience, for people who are experienced, you need to put your or the previous workplace. You need to actually outline them very well, your achievements, what you achieved, then okay, for the stack you use, the different tools you use, you need to actually put them, because at different companies you work in, you probably use different tools and probably different stacks. So you just need to put a lot of information there, but at the same time concise. So you don't need to put not really a lot, but then everything should actually be in moderation. So should be key points. You should actually just put it on your resume. Then something I actually see people do is, okay, putting full address on your resume. I don't think you need to put full address on your
Yeah.
resume. Legal states is okay, or Nigeria. It depends. Yeah, just yeah.
Yeah.
Then certificates, certifications that you have, put it there. Yeah, just put it there.
Yeah, and actually, everything that you said is consistent with what one of our previous videos about, how to actually, structure your resume for the jobs that people can still find on our YouTube channel. You can just check in our tips and inspirations playlist. One thing that I'm thinking of is for a remote role, how would you suggest that on my resume? Right? How do I say, okay, I work with people from different time zones, or good at time management. Is there something that might catch the eye of a recruiter who's looking for a remote, who's hiring for a remote job? Like, is there anything specific to remote jobs that I can put on my resume?
Yeah, then okay, something you should do, probably share your resume with friends and your friends and colleagues. They can review it, and yeah, they can actually review it for you and give you feedback. Right, yeah. Then you can also go online and see sample resume of people you could actually look at and probably pick one or two things from the resume.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually true. There are so many, even for myself. I can't imagine, like, when I was starting out, I was always looking for, whatever the job title is. I'll just put that in Google, then I'll say resume template, or
Yeah,
cover
yeah,
letter template.
yeah. Actually, I also do that too.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really good. Apart from resumes, right? Your LinkedIn profile is basically it's almost like your portfolio website. You can, or your CV, you can put it up there and everybody can see at any time. So, for a remote job, what are some keywords I need to put on my LinkedIn? What are some things I can do for my to my LinkedIn profile to help the recruiters find it? Because recruiters themselves, their job is to find people, right? Something that most people don't know is that many recruiters, especially the ones that work in an agency, they get paid each time they help a company get a new employee. So the recruiters actually, they want to help you. They're looking for people. So how do you then structure your LinkedIn, right? Your LinkedIn profile for them to find you properly.
Okay, so as I kind of noticed this on LinkedIn, people that are working remotely, they may actually not really put that, okay, don't put that remote this thing there on the company, that's on the, yeah, that's on the title of where they're currently working. So they don't put that, okay, yeah, I'm working remotely. So it's just something I feel it should be highlighted there. They need to know, okay, yeah, you're working remotely for this company. Then also, or probably in your title, okay, I won't really say you should put that in your title, but then, when they're actually looking for, okay, iOS developer, they probably start to show iOS developer. And it should be nice to see, okay, okay, yeah, I am a remote. It would be nice to see that remote there instantly. So, it's actually saved a lot of time. So you could can just, okay, oh yeah, this is iOS developer who is working remotely. You can just check out this page immediately on, or you actually save time of going through a lot of iOS developers and most of them may naturally be remote, and yeah, you may naturally work remotely. So you're just trying to put put your title out there, so it's easy for people to find you.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. And, let's say after all this, right? You've gotten, your LinkedIn. Now let's say they say, okay, cool. You're invited for an interview, right? But the interview is not going to be on site. Like most interviews now, they've become virtual. So if in some software engineering interviews, they might ask you to code live, right? Usually not coding, or previously, if it was on site, was by hand on the whiteboard. That's the majority, especially like the large tech companies. Some of the companies might say, okay, just share your screen and code together, right? So most people aren't used to live coding, looking at the camera, making sure their audio is good, they have enough light and all that. So what tips do you have for core virtual interviewing skills that people need to have?
Okay, one thing I actually do is, one thing I would just advise is, okay, since things have changed, you also need to change apparently. You also need to change with the way things are changing. So we need to start learning, okay, how to probably code online with people, so you can do that with your friends. Probably do a mock interview with your friend before the day, and I'm sure, yeah, on YouTube there are a lot of videos about virtual interview, coding online. So there are a lot of videos which you can also look at, watch them. You get tips, and you get a lot of information from that. What else again? Okay, you need to prepare yourself apparently. It's a mindset. So you need to actually it's a mind at rest apparently. Like, get comfortable in your space where you're doing interview at home. You need to just get comfortable. Probably, yeah, you need to remove a lot of distraction. Then you need to you need to be in appropriate attire for the interview. What else again? And also you need to check your network. Check your camera, audio, every single thing should be checked. And what else again? I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. Then I think, yeah, you also need to yeah, just stay cool and calm and be friendly. Not smile a lot.
Yeah, yeah. It's surprising, like there's this research from the psychology field that anytime you smile, it's tricks your brain into thinking that you're happy, and that's one thing. People can just make themselves happy before the interview, which will calm them down. Not have any, not get scared, and another thing that's even more practical is the mock interviews that you mentioned, right? If you have a classmate or you have a friend, even online, there are websites where you can just go. There's one called Pramp, PRAMP.com, right? So you can actually do a virtual interview for free, right? There are all these resources that can actually help you before you get into the virtual interview, right? Like the last thing you want is for your internet to go down, right? So you need to actually plan well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of productivity, right? Let's say you actually now after all of this, you finally get the job. But in terms of productivity, are there any things you need to consider for your like home office, right? Do you need a new monitor? Do you need a webcam? Do you need lights? Are there any things people need to consider?
Yes, apparently. So, the remote job means you need to have your space, your own working space at home. So, what I would advise is for me, what before I usually have my working space together in my bedroom. So I just have to pick out my working space from the bedroom, because kind of gets me, the bed actually gets me distracted. So I took the working space out. Then I have my camera, yeah, good, yeah, lights, good lighting. What else again? My desk and table. What else again? Yeah, just just make you feel yeah in the office. Apparently, just your work, your chair, office table, every single thing that actually has to do with the office. Probably books around. Just give you that feeling, and that feeling of, oh yeah, you're working, so you don't need to get distracted.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. And even we spoke earlier about offer letters, right? Do some
Mm.
companies compensate for if you land the job and you start, would they, if you go buy webcam, lighting, maybe office chair, will some companies compensate
Okay.
for that, and so on?
Yeah, well, it depends. There are different companies and with different policies and rules. So some would and depends. So some would and some would not. So it's just up to you. Just up to the company and up to you too.
Yeah, yeah. So that's another thing to check in the offer letter. If the company will help you, also if they'll refund the purchase of the home office items. Yeah, yeah. So I think we've basically gone through most of it. We've already discussed things like flexibility, how to ensure that you're not letting the remote work spill out of the time you've allocated for it. Right. We've also discussed making sure that you don't have your bed right beside your table. Uh, and the thing is, maybe for some people, like you may be at a point where that's currently what you have, but then the reality is, if you're able to find a company who's willing to foot the bill, or at least maybe not 100%, but just let's say 50 to 70% of the home office, you don't have to buy a full home office kit all at once, right? You can spread things out over like 1 year, right? You buy slowly, you buy
Yeah.
the desk, you buy the chair, or you can even get these they're on Amazon or Jumia. They have all these sort of like standing desk extension, so you can just type as if it's an actual standing desk. So your regular desk, you can just add something on top of it. So there are all these ways that you can be creative to save costs, and people shouldn't feel limited. That's okay because I don't have X, Y, Z. There's a book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. What he said is, don't think I don't have it. Think, how can I have it, right? So that's the mindset that people need to have in order to get to the next level.
Yeah, I think one other thing probably, yeah, skip this. Yeah, they can also work in co-working space. There are also like co-working space around where they can just pop by and work from there. They're working internationally, so they're just co-working space at Ikeja, so different parts of different part of Lagos or different part of the country where you're residing, or the library apparently you can also work from the library. So it depends. Yeah, it's just something you should actually look at too.
Yeah, yeah, there are definitely many ways to go about it. Yeah, I would say yes. I think this has been very useful, and I hope everyone who's watched this and who will watch this, in the future, going forward, will actually learn a lot from this and be able to take action. Because remote jobs really open up a lot of opportunities. There are many people who have really good skills and have that humility and ambition to learn and improve their skills. And maybe the only barrier is the geographical location, right, of where they are, or where they would like to work. Where remote jobs open up the opportunity to be able to do anything from any parts of the world. So there's a lot to learn today, and maybe I'll just ask: do you have any final pieces of advice, any final words for everyone?
Okay, probably I need to touch on the discipline part a bit. Yeah, so because it depends though. If you're working from different time zone, or, yeah, now you need to wake up on time. Waking up on time, going to bed on time. There are things which you would need to. It's just like self discipline, which you're trying to discipline yourself around it. Then piece of advice or like links or probably things I can share is, I would say these countries are actually looking for a young talent around the country, around the world currently, looking for young talent. And one thing I actually noticed, or probably something I actually noticed, is there are companies in the country, yeah, in Nigeria, yeah, or probably there are countries in Africa who actually yeah, they actually help in getting remote workers for people abroad currently. So example is Tunga. Yeah, I'm actually on the platform Tunga. There's Touring. I'm sure people have heard of Touring. There's TopTal. I have a friend working with TopTal. There's Talent QL.
Yeah.
honeypots, yeah, then angel lists. So there are like a lot of platforms which people can leverage on, and yeah, apparently a lot of, and few people should actually look out for those companies, because the companies that are also looking out that it's really hard recruiting people. So this basically, so you just give it to recruitment agents, agents to help them. Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the way this ecosystem works. There are jobs people just have to, and there are people who are looking to hire. That's their full-time job to find new people. So it's up to each job candidates to actually just position themselves well for where those opportunities are. Yeah. And I would say, finally, do you have any, where would you suggest that people could find you? Maybe on Twitter, LinkedIn, maybe your GitHub or portfolio website?
Well, my LinkedIn, I try to use my LinkedIn now more, because Twitter I find in Nigeria, and I don't know, I've just been off Twitter for the meantime, currently. So, but LinkedIn, you can connect me on LinkedIn. Adebiyi Temitope, you definitely see me on LinkedIn. You can just connect with me and reach out to me, send me a message. I will definitely reply you back.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'll add the links to each of those websites in the description of this video afterwards. Yeah, thank you very much, Adebiyi. This was very insightful. I'm sure everyone who watched this has gained something, at least one thing from this. I know I have. And we look forward to seeing more success stories from you in the future. And
Yeah.
everyone, thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.